So guys, Logan, the last movie in the Wolverine trilogy, has come out, and it's pretty dang good.
And the director, James Mangold, who directed the previous installment, The Wolverine, returns for this movie. Also who's returning is Hugh Jackman, obviously, and then Patrick Stewart, and then we get to introduce to Daphne Keane. And let's just talk about her for a second, because Daphne Keane really surprised me in this movie. She's a very young girl, so I haven't really seen her much. I'm not really sure if she's played it much before this, but she was really good. And she didn't have a lot of lines in this movie until a certain point, but man, she really surprised me.
Yeah, really, the entire cast of this movie is pretty good. I mean, obviously, Patrick Stewart's gonna do good. Hugh Jackman, as always, is good. And honestly, this is probably one of his best performances as Wolverine. You can really feel the emotion in this movie. So what this movie is about is it's set in the not too distant future, and Wolverine's healing powers are sort of fading away. And Professor X is obviously older as well. And this new young mutant emerges, and pretty much Wolverine and Professor X have to escort her to a certain destination. And Hugh Jackman and Patrick Stewart have both come out and said that this is the last time that they'll be playing these characters, Wolverine and Professor X, respectively, in these movies. And really, what I loved about this movie the most is the whole story felt grounded. It didn't feel like an over-the-top superhero movie. It felt really grounded. The story was really great. It was really emotional, just the entire movie all the way through.
Yeah, like you said, emotion really got to me in this movie. There's a lot of things, and obviously this is not a spoiler review, so we're not going to go into any spoilers, but a lot of the acting and just some of the writing, and then the dialogue, and then just your connection to these characters really helped you feel this emotion that they're trying to portray. Man, I gotta say, this movie is extremely violent. So, I just want to let y'all know, just in case you were good planning on it, don't bring kids to this movie. It's definitely what the Wolverine is. A very violent, very gory movie. And it was the action and the violence was actually very well directed, very well choreographed, because sometimes in action movies, one thing that irritates me a lot is you'll see stuff and you won't actually know what's going on because sometimes it's filmed so terribly. It's just a whole bunch of shaky cam all over the place, and you can barely tell what characters are fighting, or somebody died. It's like, did that character actually die? What happened? In this movie, the violence and the action scenes are so well filmed and so well put together. It was just amazing just to watch and so cool to see.
Yeah, and it's gonna be funny going back to the older Wolverine movies and seeing him kill people and no blood being shown on the screen, and then watching this movie and like just a huge bloodbath. An aspect in this movie was they would refer to these X-Men comics that are actually in this movie, and it's sort of cool because this movie's set in the future. Pretty much everything that the X-Men did in the past movies, they pretty much are legends in this movie, and I felt like that was sort of a cool part to the movie.
And this movie is loosely based off the comic book Old Man Logan, and the only reason why I say loosely is because this movie can't actually go to the full extent of what Old Man Logan was, because obviously there's copyright issues between Fox and MCU and Universal and all that, so they can't really fully put everything in there. But the thing is, what I like about this movie is even though they had to take out a whole bunch of stuff, like in the comic books, you had a Red Skull as president. I mean, there's a lot of things that they took out from this movie, from the comic books, but the one thing I loved is that this movie just felt so much on its own. It was so good and so well written. Even though they had to take out all that stuff, they made their own movie, which obviously a lot of people do, but you know, they found a way to not just solely base it off the comic books and still make it really good. Also guys, one big recommendation I would give to all of y'all, make sure not to miss 1 second of this movie. Make sure you get it there at the very beginning of this movie, because there's a nice little thing there at the beginning. I really did like this movie, and if I'm gonna have to bring up like any negatives, which I almost had none, but if I'm gonna be nitpicking a little bit, I would say that there was a time whenever there was powers, there were certain people that had certain powers that could have helped stop things a little bit earlier. And I understand the reason why they don't do that is because it would become a random to just stop things that early. But I felt like there was just that. There was these few characters that had powers that could just stop things like bam, like really easily, and they didn't do it. It wasn't that big of a deal to me, so you know, it's hard to actually knock off that much for it. Alright guys, so I'd highly recommend you going and see this movie. It was fantastic. It was pretty phenomenal. The acting was great. I just had that one little issue with it, but it wasn't a whole bunch. So I'm gonna go ahead and give Logan an A.
And I truly feel like this was a perfect ending to the Wolverine trilogy. And I don't really have the main flaws with it, so I'm gonna give Logan an A.
Well guys, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Also, comment below and tell us what you thought about this movie. If you agree with us, if you would have thought it was not that great, better than we said. Or also let us know what you thought about this review as well.
And don't forget, like always, to follow us on social media. We have Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, all at 2AwesomeMen.
As always, thank you so much for watching, and you will see us later.